So this is a game review between Pekoe and Ohimesona. So actually, the White is my student as well. So I will be able to understand better for what was happening in this game. So let's start. Opening seems completely fine. Okay, so always remember, approaching a 3-4 is always going to be bigger, but it's not too terrible to do this. Here, normal Joseki is this, and then black can maybe just play this. Yeah. This is invasion, interesting, but not what you should do immediately, because you can see that when you have the idea that, okay, my opponent really desperately wants this area, I don't really need to care about it so much because my opponent's playing more moves in that area than I want to, right? He's invested 4 stones while I've only approached and I've no investment there. I can maybe later, if I want to, try to maybe split the groups, right? Maybe here, maybe even invade and cut the groups off. That's dependent on what happens in the middle game. But in the opening, I just want to approach, maybe make some Joseki. If I'm not sure about Joseki, I'm going to think about maybe learning a few Josekis for different moves, right? Another thing is that OGS allows you to check Josekipedia for correspondence games. So I say it's okay, you can check Josekipedia because it's gonna give you a relatively equal result, and it's a good way to have a way to remember Josekis. Yeah. So this invasion is unnecessary and not good at all. Normally I would tell beginners about DDKs to always approach from high, don't do low, because what happens if black does this? How do you know how to answer a pincer? Because this is a really good variation for black, because black has a wall right here, right? But luckily for white, black plays normal Joseki, black decides to kill the group. So yeah, that dies. This is weird, right? This has died. If you want to continue, yes, maybe you are behind a few points, maybe about 5-10 points. Just enclose your area, right? Maybe just enclose your 4-4. That would be a better idea. This is not a good idea because you see now white has to run out. Black makes 2 bases, so black is doing really well in this situation. Here, yeah, that's find the Tanuki. Not necessarily to need to answer this at all, because this is a really nice move that also threatens to steal white's points underneath. So these are actually really good moves by black. The push here is not good. This would be better into something like this, but now you also are going to be able to get peeped like this, and this cut doesn't work entirely because you can just connect back, but you know your groups may be weak, so black can't take too much damage, so you do need to know what you're trying to do. But this kind of fixes black's weakness. So yeah, normally if you want to do something here, this would be better. If you're really afraid of the cut, you don't have to. Try and read out the ladder. Does this ladder work for you or not for you? This is something I will not go into completely, but reading ladders is also very important. But even if the ladders don't work, you need to always be thinking about, how afraid of the cut am I, right? If I'm really afraid of the cut, then a direct connection would be better, right? Why am I giving my opponent the opportunity to make some shape while I play the same move with an extra move over here, right? Would you ever let's say if after this was played and this was played, right, doing this is pushing your opponent, right? So would you ever push your opponent in this situation? Probably not. So doing this is bad. This is also bad for white. You want to play this, right? Because now if your opponent pushes this way, you can run this way. There's also some peeps over here, but black is not too afraid because the cut does not work, right? White's group is getting weaker, so now it will need to lean on this group to try and run out in this direction. Yeah, this is weird. Okay, white is trying to take some eye space. You want to first run, right, in this manner. Maybe even leaning on your opponent for a section and then jumping out this way. Taking eye space can be something you can do later, but if you do want to take some eye space, you want to think about doing from this direction where you actually have some space to take eyes. But it also needs to be sente, right? Because what if my opponent plays this move next? How much is he gonna let me keep and take? Because I would believe this is a very, very nice result for black, because now black has a nice strong structure that can be used to attack and do a lot of different things. So yeah, that's the things that you need to think about. So yeah, you can see how black here is trying to take away the base here. These are interesting moves. You can think of attaching to your opponent sometimes. It's fine. This is weird because it gives your opponent shape. If you did want to try something, maybe even like this kind of move is a try, because if your opponent runs, then now if you connect underneath here, you have these kinds of interesting RG, right? You give your opponent, oh, I give you this, but is it really a lot? Maybe not. Now I've made a wall against your wall, and now that I'm stronger, you're not going to be able to do too much to me. These are the kind of ideas you can think about. By just running straight, you just become a stick and it's not really doing too much, and black here is really profiting a lot. Black is able to destroy this side. You're trying to take a few points here. That's again feels a bit way too small. Black just keeps growing and I can kind of see how white loses this game even though it doesn't have to die. This is weird. This would be the idea. If you're really afraid of this, you have to think about what kind of moves you can make here, right? If your opponent cuts, you can still do this, right? Maybe they get this thing, but you still connected. So you have to remember, you have to read out the moves that are played. Not every move is perfect, right? Even what about playing this, right? Here you can still run, and if your opponent tries to block you or anything, you can still continue to push. And now if your opponent tries to block very strongly and black does this, then white is going to have a lot of chances to fight back. You have to know, the more you add strength to your group, the more chances you have to counter attack, and you have to counter attack. If you don't attack your opponent while you are in danger or while you are struggling to live, then you're not gonna get anything. Sometimes you have to lose something. You can't keep the whole group. You can't keep everything. You have to make a change. If your opponent's saying, I'm gonna surround you, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna surround you, I'm gonna kill you, you show them, no, you can't. Yes, I'll give you a few points, but I'm not gonna die, right? That's the fighting spirit that we always talk about. And that's why when you make shapes like this to just connect directly, you kind of allow your opponent to have way too much. Okay, yeah, this was weird. I would think about, why not cut this group directly. Yes, this does not work, but if you do want to connect these stones, a better way would be this, right? And now when he does this, but as you can see, right, that the whole idea was that as black kept trying to fight back way too hard, it just did not work, right? You can't push and push against something that's strong. So yeah, black should have not fought so hard. Always remember, if your opponent is going to be able to run away, just let them. Don't continuously fight for unnecessary reasons. For white here, why did you not try and think of this? Maybe you could even capture these stones because you have more liberties, right? And you also have a lot more RG that can allow you to do a lot of things. Maybe even like a nose Tetsuji here, where you can capture this and then you threaten to capture that, and you can even peep just to make so much shape, and then now you say, okay, I believe in my counting, I have more liberties than my opponent. So yeah, giving these stones up again is a very bad idea. This is also weird. Just connecting is always better. Play simple moves. Try not to play a lot of nonsense. Here, this is not the biggest move. Here for white, the idea would be to try and destroy my opponent's area. Maybe come into my opponent's area here. You don't have a lot of points. You kind of need to fight in this point. If you don't fight at all, you're gonna just continue to struggle. As you can see, by just fighting a bit, maybe you get something out of it. It maybe will help you push against your opponent. Again, see, like you can see, just because your opponent added so many stones, now you really are going to struggle to be able to counter back with anything. You made strong groups, but your strong groups do nothing at all afterwards, right? Yeah, and then like maybe taking this kind of damage, you could maybe let go if you have a chance to fight back, but black's groups are way too strong. All these invasions will not work at all. This is a weird move by black. I would just kill this group, right? Like after my opponent plays this, right, I want to make sure that if my group is dead, it's completely dead. If they do this, right, can I continue to read if this stays dead? I feel like it might still stay dead, right? Does it really have two eyes? There's this core, so maybe I can fight the core. So you have to keep thinking about this, not letting your opponent have too much. In this situation, definitely you want to think about how you want to fight this, right? Maybe do something like this first, where you can now surround your opponent and play moves like this, where you can leave cutting points that face your groups. Because now you know that, let's say I just protect this and my opponent decides to Atari this, I'm not in too much danger, I can connect. So that's what you need to think about. Rather than just directly playing immediately without thinking, you want to think a bit about what type of cutting points you can leave because of influence. And with those cutting points left, you know that you can't get damage. That way you can kill your opponent easier, rather than letting them be able to take the chance where they create more RG and then manage to make a group live, right? These are good moves, endgame moves. Here with this, I am not sure, but I think, yeah, this would die. So this is a good idea that you did. Maybe you can even think about just letting that stone go first, because you don't have to be so desperate in keeping everything. You have to think about what is the better result for you, right? Is this the best result? Because what if white does this first into this, right? I don't think you can do this one. So if you connect here, you can see that now white gets more, right? Rather than letting it go and using it as RG, keeping your own weaknesses strong would be a better idea to think about, because you can always after being strong, come back to attack. You always have to remember, I feel like a lot of DDK players don't understand this, is they're desperate to keep everything, but they don't realize that because of weaknesses, they're now going to have to lose more because your opponent can just poke at weaknesses. So it's always best to just keep yourself as strong as possible. Let go of points sometimes, because you can get it back in other manners just by being strong. So yeah, I think most of these are now just endgame moves, and white's basically already lost around the early mid game. So my main tip for white would be to learn to push back and fight, because without pushing back and fighting, you're gonna not have any points to keep. For black, you played pretty well. You need to, but also you need to think about what actual points are actually worth caring about. Not everything needs to be secured. Not every stone matters. So think about what is going to be your idea in making sure that you take the most amount of points in the end game. So yeah,